Hello and welcome back. My name is Owminator and you are watching the second installment of my Mass Effect 3 Multiplayer In-depth Analases. Today we're taking a look at the Turian Sentinel class. The Sentinel classes are focused around tech and biotic powers while sacrificing sheer stopping power. The Turian Sentinel is very powerful in a myriad of situations, being able to stun unprotected enemies, as well as take down any of the three forms of protection: barriers, shields, or armor. I have tried out a number of weapons on this class and eventually decided that the ideal type of weapon would first of all be very lightweight to ensure the quickest power cooldown possible, and second of all should be able to hold a lot of ammo. I recommend either the M-8 Avenger Assault Rifle, the M-5 Phalanx Pistol, or the M-6 Carnifex Pistol as a starting point. Let's take a look at the powers the Turian Sentinel can hurl at its enemies. The very first power, the Tech Armor, is an interesting power. It can be used both defensively and offensively, with the variety of upgrades you can choose from. It will serve as a general type of armor, slowing your power use by 80% when active, but it can also be detonated to damage and stun enemies. In general, if you want to upgrade the Tech Armor ability, I recommend opting for the more offensive side of the power, as its defensive bonuses aren't all around good enough to be considerable. The first break in the road for the Tech Armor gives you this decision between offensive and defensive as follows. The top option increases the damage and impact radius of the explosion caused by detonating the armor, which can be a true lifesaver in certain situations, while the bottom choice increases the damage protection bonus by a mere 5%. This option is kind of a no-brainer, if you ask me at least. The top option for the next decision accommodates boosts to your other tech powers by a considerable amount while the armor is active. The 80% slower power use when the armor is active should also be considered beforehand. The bottom choice boosts your melee damage, which quite frankly isn't the best option due to the Turians' lack of agility. The Turians are unable to dive roll in any direction and can therefore be kind of sluggish, especially if you're going for a melee build. This means you won't be able to deliver hit and run melee strikes as effectively as a Krogan, for example. The last top option will decrease the cooldown penalty of your other powers by 30%. This is useful if you plan to make constant use of your other powers while the armor is active. Otherwise, the bottom option will, again, boost your defensive bonus, although this time by 10%. Personally, I'd opt for the top option. Next on the list is Warp, the Turian Sentinel's only biotic power. Warp is very effective against armored enemies as well as enemies with barriers and is therefore very versatile on the battlefield. It's very useful against the Reapers where brutes and banshees all of a sudden don't stand a chance. Let's take a look at the upgrade path for this power. The top option for the first branch increases the immediate damage Warp does, making it a more powerful hit and run type of ability. The bottom option relies on biotic explosions, which are caused by chaining different biotic powers together. This option requires another biotic teammate and good teamwork between you and them to work properly, and can in certain situations make this choice useless. However, when this option does work on the battlefield, it is very powerful. The top option for the next branch lets you do even more immediate damage with the power, as well as extend its active duration, making it even better at hit and run tactics, while the bottom choice relies on you and your team attacking the target afterwards. Both choices should be considered heavily. The last branch lets you choose between a more powerful overall warp or the ability to spam it more often. The top option would work better for bosses, while the bottom option would work better for weaker enemies. The next ability of the Turian Sentinel is often regarded as one of the most useful abilities in the game. Overload will drain your enemy's shields, stun organic enemies, and has an upgrade path that allows you to take out many targets simultaneously. It can also be upgraded to take out the strongest shields in few uses at the expense of area of effect. Let's take a look at the first decision you will have to make. At the top option, the Overload will gain the ability to move onto a second target after the first target has been hit, although with less damage. This is very useful for chaining a massive stun field together and temporarily immobilizing unprotected enemies. The bottom option will increase the damage of the power by a very considerable amount. Depending on what you're going for, both choices are very considerable. At the next break, the top option will temporarily incapacitate organic enemies. This choice is good for the person who wants the most versatile version of overload they can possibly get. It will strengthen its resolve against organic enemies. The bottom option will decrease the cooldown period, making you able to spam your power more often. This can be useful for controlling the battlefield and is coupled well with the top choice, Chain Overload, previously selectable. The last choice leaves you with a slight damage boost and the ability to hit yet another target with less damage, or a tremendous boost to shield and barrier damage done by the power. Again, both choices are very admirable. The Turian Sentinel is a very versatile class. It works well against all enemies in the game, boasting abilities that are effective against every type of protection, as well as no protection at all. If you don't know what you're heading into, the Turian Sentinel might well be your choice of class. However, it only works properly with limited weaponry, and has no options for moving swiftly, making it suffer in close quarters. The Turian Sentinel is a great overall class and should be tried by everybody. My name is Owminator, thank you for watching. I wish that guy outside my window would turn off his f***ing bike. Goodbye.